Hello, my name's Mark Helm, and I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Self-Storage Quick Start Academy. I help people who are getting in the self-storage business, and I help people who want to grow their self-storage business strategically do so in a way that creates true wealth and a fulfilling career. So thank you very much for being here, and I get asked this a lot. So where are we in the self-storage cycle right now? Do you get asked that? I get asked that quite a bit, especially with all the building that's going on out there. So how do you answer that? Well, let's take a look together. So every industry, every company, every country, all has a cycle. And for companies and industries, I find it good to do a comparison and have a cycle like a human being's life. So you have birth. So think about a company you've started. Remember the early days, birth. Then you're a toddler, barely beginning to walk, trying to get that first deal, trying to get any income coming in the door there is. Then you become a child. Then you become a teenager, young adult, and then prime. And then after you're in your prime, now some companies are in their primes for hundreds of years, and sometimes some companies go into old age and then we'll come back to prime. But you have the prime, then you have middle age, old age. You could even be institutionalized. Think of the auto industry. The auto industry was institutionalized back in 2008. Then it went back to its prime and maybe now is in middle to old age again. And then you have death. So where do you think the self-storage industry is in this cycle, comparing it to a human life? Well, when I first got going on it, it was like very young. In the 90s, we were children in it. The industry was fledgling, just getting going. Institutional self-storage had just been designed and created. The first publicly traded company was Public Storage. They began to create institutional storage. Then I would say we've come out of our teenage years and are moving into young adult, headed fast towards prime. Why? Think about what a teenager is. What do you know about teenagers? Teenagers perceive themselves as indestructible. We perceived ourselves as indestructible. Build it and they will come. Everybody's over 90%. Buildings started taking off. And then all of a sudden, the industry began to look around and said, now wait a minute, maybe we've got too much going on. Maybe we need to slow down and figure out what we're doing so we don't have another crash in this industry. To me, when we began doing that as an industry, when even the small investor, even the guy sitting in the diner comes up and says, is self-storage becoming overbuilt? That begins to tell me that this industry is maturing and we're becoming a young adult. And I think we're headed towards our prime. And I think we'll spend many, many years in our prime. Usually what disrupts an industry from their prime would be something that would dislodge it, something new, innovative that comes along that nobody's expecting. So let's look at some other industries. Think about the video industry, the Blockbuster. Boy, that was a quick industry. That had a 10-year lifespan or so. Quickly went through, there were mom and pops, and then big players hit the market, and it quickly matured and hit its prime with Blockbuster, Red Giraffe, Hollywood Video, and then innovation came along. Netflix knocked it for a loop, and real quickly that industry went to old age and even death. There's still Redbox and a few things hanging around, but for the most part, that industry's gone. That had a 10-year life cycle. Think about the Coca-Cola. That's been around how long? 125, 35 years? Where are they? Are they in their prime? Well, a company like that can go into prime, then get old age, and something innovates and happens, and they go back to prime, and they keep reinventing themselves. Think of a company like Kodak. What happened with Kodak? It was in its prime for 60, 70 years was in its prime. And then something came along called digital photography. Quickly knocked it off. Kodak was unable to adjust to the changing landscape and hence died. So think about that. Now, if you're in an industry, where is it better to be? Is it better to be at the front end of an industry cycle or be at the rear end of an industry cycle? Well, it's obviously better to be in the front end of an industry cycle. So when I tell people I think we have another decade or two of really good self-storage and the time to get in is now, the reason I'm saying that is because we are on the front end of an industry cycle, and the sooner you get in there, the longer you're able to take advantage of the profits that industry cycle has to offer. Now, when you're in your prime, when you're in your early age, what typically happens is you're not worried about profits. You're just trying to get money in the door, customers in the door. Then as you begin to mature and grow up, profits are what you're focused on. Then as you even get older, what begins to happen is you're still able to keep your profits high, even though your income, your gross income may start slowing down, your profits are still there. And then eventually the profits will begin to dry up, and that's when you begin to hit older age and middle age and older age. So unless something seriously disrupts this industry, and pods couldn't disrupt it, it doesn't look like concierge storage is disrupting it. So at this stage of the game, I see nothing on the horizon that would disrupt this industry. It's a good time to get in. Now you got to be careful. You want to be very careful, and because not only does an industry have a life cycle, not only does a company have a life cycle, all of that is against an environment, a background of an economy. And an economy has a cycle. Now, what I find is better on the economy, rather than use a human being's life cycle, economies just go round and round. So it's almost like the seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter. I say that we have been in a long, hot summer. Things have been going great. Prices are high, occupancies are high, everybody's happy, everybody's making profits, and it just keeps clicking and clicking and clicking along. And what always happens, it's inevitable, it's not bad, it just happens, is the economy begins to change. And I say that our industry is becoming, moving from teenage to young adult years. And the economy in which it's currently operating in the US is moving from summer to fall. So what does that mean? So what comes after fall? Winter. The recession. So my coaching, and there'll be other articles on this, is to begin to get prepared for the winter that's coming up. Now, here's the good news. Real estate and self-storage is a real estate play. It's also an operating business, but it's a real estate play. More wealth is created during winter, especially in real estate, than any other time of the year. If you're prepared to take advantage of what happens in the wintertime, you can position yourself for a long, successful run as a company. What does that mean? Well, for example, people put a lot of product in service over the last 2 or 3 years. Let's say they put it in service at a 5 cap and they lose. What did we lose in the last recession? We averaged about 6 to 8% occupancy. Let's say that stabilized occupancy goes from 92 down to 84%. And with that occupancy going down, the value of their asset goes down and their loan now is due. And the banks will tell many people, well, you're underwater, it's time if you want us to renew your loan, you got to inject more cash in it. And hey, I don't have any more cash to inject, or I don't want to do that. So they put it on the market and sell it. So we're gearing up. We can still get good deals today, But we're preparing, and we will be ready, so when the winter comes, we'll be able to take advantage of the opportunities that happen with winter. We'll talk more about that as we go on in this series. So that is my long-winded answer to where are we in the self-storage cycle. Now, as a leader, and if you're starting a company, if you're running a company, if you're in the self-storage business and own it, you're a leader. A leader's job, its number one job of a leader, is to look into the market and predict what's coming down the road. The more accurately a leader can predict what's coming down the road, the better he is able to prepare his company, his employees, everybody for what's coming. So as a leader, and I look into the industry and into the market, that's what I see. That might not be what you see. I'd be very interested in what you see. If you see something different, share it. I have no crystal ball. I'm just sharing what I know from experience and the research and study I've done, and I'd be very interested in what you're perceiving, because I think collectively, if we support each other and work together, we can we don't have to have a bubble crash again, and B, we can take advantage, no matter what the conditions are, no matter where in the life cycle or the economic cycle we are, if we support each other, we can take advantage of whatever the market at that moment has to offer. So that's my invitation. Share what you think is where we are in this fantastic business of self-storage, in the life cycle and in the economic cycle. So my name is Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer. It's a financial analysis tool specifically designed for self-storage, and we are upgrading it, and very soon, in about another 6 weeks, we will be releasing a much enhanced version 2, completely different platform, completely different environment. This will be a killer program, and I look forward to sharing it with you and what it can do. It is powerful. I'll talk to you later.